Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans. Yes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another quick edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, and I just wanted to kind of just do a quick recap of where we are so far in the Test match. So it's the 17th of August at the time of recording. Obviously, day 3 will start later today in approximately, let me do a quick maths on my hands, in about 6 hours. And it could be the last day of the test, truth be told. I think we'll go to day 4. I would back, touch wood, I would back the West Indies to take this into day 4 with the bat. That's what I'm expecting. That's what I would hope. But to all intents and purposes, I mean, let's call it as it actually is right now. South Africa hold all of the trump cards. First things first, I'm just going to make it straight. Before this series started, I said that I thought we could win a test match. This is before I knew it was going to rain a lot in Trinidad. But in the context of previous performances against South Africa, still being 0-0 going into the last of 2 test matches is probably still better than usual against South Africa. Still being in with a chance of winning the test is actually better than usual in the context of playing South Africa. Does that mean we have a strong chance of winning the test? I mean, I'd rate our chances right now at 20% and no more. And even that might be too much. I might be giving too much to the West Indies there to say that. But let's just recap where we're at so far. At the end of day 2, after a hectic day 1 and morning of day 2, obviously the South Africans were bowled out for 160. In response, overnight, in fairness, at the end of day 1, West Indies were something like 97 for 7. And they probably exceeded all expectations by finding a way to get to 144 at the end of their first innings, led by Jason Holder's unbeaten 54. And let me just address that. Let me just address Jason Holder first and foremost. Not Jason directly, more so the people that... Do you not remember I dropped a short on Jason Holder? Do you not remember that over the last however many months I've been talking about it probably is 2 or 3 years too late to be playing Jason Holder at number 6, but I get it and I understand it and I support it. I think in the last 3 test matches, if not a bit more, you've seen why they've moved Jason Holder to number 6. And all of those uncles and even youngsters, by youngsters I mean anyone who's in their late 20s, early 30s, who've kind of atted us and said, Jason shouldn't be batting number 6. There's players much better than him. This is why I said that you lot were talking nonsense. Sometimes it's not about the score that you see on the paper. Sometimes you have to revert back to your eye test and say, are you seeing the ingredients? Are you smelling it? Can you smell the flavors? Are you seeing the signs that the player who has been put in a position has the tools to play that position? Jason now has 250s, I think, in his last 3 tests. But more importantly, when he's come to the crease, I think he's looked solid. I think he has played the situation. If anything, arguably, go through our top 6. I actually think Jason currently looks the most compact at the wicket, the one who's most assured of his defensive game. Because at the end of the day, you can't score runs in my mind as a cricket correspondent, journalist, fan, call me what you want to call me. In my mind, you can't make runs until you know where your off stump is and you can defend the ball, leave the ball on the length and are assured in defence. Jason is. And that's why it's no surprise to me to see that currently of the top 6, he's the one who always seems the most assured when he comes to the crease. Won't always translate to runs, but sometimes it's not always about big runs. Big runs meaning like daddy hundreds and stuff. It means just, should we be worried when you come to the crease? And right now, I'm not worried when Jason comes to the crease. Like I say, solid 54 not out, made the pitch and the conditions look an absolute, not, I wouldn't say a breeze, but he looked comfortable out there. He looked comfortable. It's a phrase you lot have probably got used to hearing me say. He took the drama out of the situation and played well with the lower order. Obviously, Shamar Joseph added 25, quick fire 25 of 27 at number 11. I get lots of people saying, why Shamar Joseph batting number 11? I think they keep him there because he has the license and freedom to just do what he wants at number 11. If you put Shamar Joseph above Jaden Seals, or even above Jamel Warwick, and I wouldn't do that, but if you did, he can't play the same way that he's playing at number 9 or 10, because you do have to bat. If you come in at number 9, even at number 10, right, you're effectively being told by the team, bat responsibly. You can't always just try leng 6s, leng 4s, slash at wide ones, and just trust your instincts if you're coming above number 11, because there's a certain level of responsibility expected, which says play the situation, try and take this as long as you can. Yes, by all means, you can balance it and say, yeah, but we need somebody who can play shots like Shamar Joseph. Totally get that. But at number 11, he has the freedom to play that way because it's the last wicket. And that's why I think they've kept him at number 11. Is Jaden Seals a better batter than Shamar Joseph? No. Clearly, he doesn't seem to be. But would you trust Jaden Seals more than Shamar Joseph 9 times out of 10 to hang around with an established batter? I would, but I get why people are going to criticize that point now and say, no, Shamar Joseph should be batting higher. I don't know. I've got no issue with him batting number 11. And I think it's a really small quibble if we're going to be... Before we argue about where Shamar Joseph should be batting, we need to focus our attention on the top 6 making runs when they need to make runs on a more regular basis. But we can get to that. In fact, let's say top 7, top 8. But we can get to that when we get to that. Obviously, Gudakesh Multi added 11 as well. But like I say, led by Jason Holder, 54 not out. So just for those who are keeping watch on Jason Holder, as things currently stand, and he does look a bit under par with the ball. I'm not going to try and pretend that he's been brilliant with the ball, but that's not his role anymore. Like I keep saying to people, Jason's role with the ball for me is to hold an end and bowl a bit more economically than others, bring a bit of control when the situation's got out of control. And if he can pick up a wicket, great. But he's not in the team anymore to be a strike bowler. In this setup, in this 11 right now, Seals, Joseph, Warwick and Multi are the strike bowlers. Jason is a hold an end and control the run rate type bowler. And if you get a wicket, great. Obviously, he did have one in the second innings, but I think Josh spilled it. Was it Dazorzi? Can't remember who nicked off, but Josh dropped an easy one. So Jason would have had a wicket, but, you know, it's how the cookie crumbles. But anyways, as things currently stand, Jason's test average is over 30. And again, before people say, oh, your test match number 6 is supposed to be doing better than that. This is West Indies we're talking about. Always put things in the context of West Indies and stop trying to compare our players to what players of the better teams do. Are they doing... I always just look at players and go, are you doing well from the West Indian context? And right now, Jason is leading the way in some ways in terms of his approach. Sorry, is it? Yeah, no, its average is 30, not over 30, but it is 30 as things currently stand. Right, so let's move. So we made 144, which left us with a deficit of 16. Now, I always thought when we got the deficit to 16, I thought, well, that's the best case scenario. Having been 97 for 7 overnight, that's an even better case scenario than I expected. We looked like an absolute shambles on day 1 when we were batting. I'm not saying everyone got unplayable deliveries. Maybe 2 of them got unplayable deliveries, but we just looked like we were unable to, which is again of no real surprise, but we looked like the ball was moving in the air, in swinging, out swinging, people very unsure of where their off stump was, pushing out at 4th stump, 5th stump deliveries, not knowing when to leave the ball on a length because they were afraid of the in-swinger, etc. And in those type of conditions, we naturally struggle. The minute that we had seen South Africa struggle, every single rational-minded West Indian fan should have thought, we're probably going to struggle as well. Not because we're not as good as South Africa, but just simple facts. if a side struggles with the moving ball, given West Indies and our relative strength, we're going to struggle with the moving ball. So seeing us get to 97 for 7 when South Africa had got to like 93 for 7 was absolutely no surprise. No surprise. Would it have been good to get a first innings lead? Would it have been good to see our side bat a bit better? Yes. Was it a surprise? No. So anyway, 16-run deficit, but it kept us in the game. And that's the most important thing. The worry, of course, was South Africa had only batted 54 overs. We had only batted 43. And I just thought to myself, when South Africa come out the second time, our bowlers basically didn't even get a rest. And I just always thought to myself, they're going to make runs the second time round, South Africa. I don't know if it'll be big, big runs, but they're going to make runs. And the reason why is just simple logic. Our bowlers are going to be tired. We've only had 40 overs rest, and we're asking our bowlers to go out there again and try and shoot out the South Africans for a really low score, which gives us a chance of winning. And sheer balance of probabilities for me suggested we're just not going to be able to do that again. We've got to find, I think Bish said it on comms at one point, our batting unit has to fire more regularly, because one of the detriments of having a batting unit which doesn't often make more than 250 is that your bowlers are always coming back out. You've got to give your bowlers something to fight with. You can't always expect your bowlers to come out, bowl down a side for 160, which keeps us in the game. And predictably, South Africa had a better time of it. I think yesterday was the best time to bat. Don't get me wrong, there was still some kind of ball shooting along the ground at times. There were a few deliveries that still outswung, particularly when we changed the ball. But there was a period of time in the second innings when it looked all right. And dare I say that I think this pitch will get better to bat on. I think Maharaj and Dame Pete will probably have a bit of fun when they come to bowl. But in terms of pace bowling, and of course, South Africa have Rabada and they got the youngster Berger, etc. But I actually think this pitch will get a bit better. I think day 2 and day 3 will be the best times to bat on this wicket. So when we're talking about West Indies, a pathway for West Indies to try and win this match, and like I say, there's only like a 20% chance of that even happening, it would rely on, so currently South Africa are 223 for 5 with a lead of 239, right? If that lead gets, well, some would argue South Africa already have enough runs, but South Africa will want to bat themselves to a position of safety first things first. If that lead gets to 300, I find it very hard to believe. I'd give West Indies like a 1% chance or 0.5% chance of winning the test match. That said, the pitch looks better to bat on at this particular moment in time. Less movement through the air. And I think, here's the thing. Of course, you have to have the technique. So as much as I can say what I'm about to say, first things first, you have to have the technique to do this. And you have to have the patience and discipline to do this. But if you are willing to bat time, hear me out, people. If you are willing to bat time and to dig in, there are runs to be made on this track. It's not a free-flowing track. It's not a track where everyone's going to be able to bat at a strike rate of 65 plus, but it is a track where if you can be more assured of your off stump and be more disciplined at leaving the ball alone, particularly to the pacers, there's runs to be had out there. If you can be positive to the spinners, sweep when you need to sweep, play each individual ball on its merit, there are runs to be made there. It is no longer a moving ball minefield where you're going to get bowled down, an LBW down like it was on day 1. So there is a small smidgen of an opportunity for West Indies here to do better than people expect. It would require them coming back out on day 3, getting the last 5 South African wickets quickly, leaving themselves like 270 to win. I still think that's too much. I think that's too high of a chase. But there's a possibility with something like that. Anyways, in the South African second innings, Seals obviously picked up another 3 wickets. Jaden Seals, come on, we have to give him his flowers. He is our star boy. He really is our star boy. We aren't throwing enough flowers at Jaden Seals. Jaden is 22 years old, right? Has only played 15 test matches and has 59 wickets at an average of 24.7. People, are we sleeping on giving Jaden all the plaudits? When was the last time we had a bowler as good as that? When was the last time West Indies had a bowler who just come onto the scene, Ute man out here, 15 matches, 59 wickets at 24.7? Right now, Jaden Seals, with his age and upside, would walk into every test team in the world. Every single test team in the world would take Jaden Seals right now. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. When was the last time we had a West Indian test player where you could comfortably say every test team in the world would want Jaden Seals right now? That's how high I'm rating Jaden Seals. Let's give him his flowers. So another 3 wickets for Starboy. Obviously, when it looked like, because at one point South Africa were 134 for 3, then Starboy came back, got Stubbs to nick off, bowled down David Bedingham, and then at one point, believe it or not, South Africa were 139 for 5 after that spell. After that spell by Jaden Seals. But obviously, like I say, Carl Vereen, he's played really well, really positive, 50, cashed in at the back end of the day. Vian Mulder, I mean, come on, Vian Mulder averages over 40 in county cricket. These are some serious batters. Vian Mulder bats number 7 for South Africa and averages over 40 in county cricket. Our numbers 1 to 6 barely average over 35 in our domestic game, right? So can you see the differences that we're talking about here? South Africa's number 7, Vian Mulder, averages over 40 in county cricket. They're number 7. We're talking about levels here. There are levels to this, right? So no surprise to see Vian Mulder come in at the back end. He's hit 34 off 66. The guy's a quality batter. Yes, he bowled well. He bowled well, to be fair. That little kind of medium fast pace nibbling off the seam. He was perfect for the conditions on day 1 and day 2, which is why I picked up his 4 for 32. And I know there's a lot of South Africans who kind of question if Vian has a set place in the side, but all you can do is do what you can do, and he's had a very good test match so far. So anyway, Dazorzi 39, Markram 51, Stubbs. I'm not convinced Tristan Stubbs is a test match number 3, but obviously the South Africans want to persist with him. 24 for him, Bavuma 4, Bedingham Duck, and then Vereen and Mulder have essentially almost, if not already, taken the game away from the West Indies. So like I say, the stage is kind of set. We need to come out on day 3, take wickets quickly. Try and reduce the chase we've got to no more than 275, 280. That would mean that we need to take the last 5 wickets for 40 runs, 40, 45 runs. Seems unlikely, but that's the aim. I'm talking about what do we need to try and do. So take the last 5 wickets for about 40 runs, 45 runs, and then the chase begins. Stage 1 of the chase for me is very, very simple. Forget how they go up. Obviously, break it down into 10 over brackets, session by session. But the bare minimum of what I want to see today is as follows. Take the game to day 4. That's it. Obviously, I could talk about only lose X amount of wickets, play patiently, get comfortable with knowing what balls you can leave on a length. Don't go chasing wide on the 4th and 5th stump. Be positive to the spinners. Don't let Maharaj and Dane Pete just get into a rhythm of dropping the ball 6 balls in a row on the same spot, because if you do that and don't play positively, we'll eventually nick out or LBW ourselves down. But we can talk about all of that, but let's keep it simple. Take the game to day 4. I'll come back again at the end of day 3, maybe the start of day 4, to recap where we're at. I'll be Machel St. Patrick here at 1/2 the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Obviously, you know where to find us on all the socials. Just type Caribbean Cricket Podcast into Google. You must come find everything. On the way out, if you haven't already done so, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the video. And of course, most importantly, which I never ever push enough, become a patron. www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket. It's your contributions that keep us going. It's your contributions that help me pay the video editors, the audio editors. All of the money that you lot help or contribute, it never goes into our pockets. It's what we use to try and make our content look a bit better and look a bit more professional. So if you can support, please do support. But I'll be back soon, possibly with Santoki. Santoki and I will definitely do one right at the end of the test, and that could even be today. But we shall see. I've been Machel St. Patrick here at One Half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. See you again very soon.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rule seems coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.